love like self-love. I'm an aboriginal, not a settler. So what the fuck I wanna settle for? My soul was broken, I fixed it up. So what the fuck I wanna sell it for? Really, I just wanna better us. Me, myself, and I, we about to fly up into another pinnacle. It's nothing short of a miracle. I used to just wanna get rich as fuck. Now I just try to keep my spirits up. I say to myself in the mirror, you's a phenomenal nigga. I keep on repeating my mantra. I roll up my weed in the switch. I don't know if it's the pose or the portrait, but this is the perfectest picture. I see myself more than immortal. I guess it's just life, go figure. Wish I could go show Philip, cause Lord sure knows I miss him. But we gon' live forever, so that there don't make no difference. You fucking right.
mypdfbooks.com. That's books with a Z.
Good evening, good evening. Peace, peace, peace. Happy Holy Day and greetings. We're here once again with the BBT, the Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School Holy Day Book Club reading. And tonight evening's broadcast is brought to you by bindedbooks.com, where treasures abound. mypdfbooks.com, and that's books with a Z. My odd son's teas, divinely prepared, the tea of teas. BH Bay Music for all of your musical needs. And last but not least, MoorishHaberdasher.com for all of your Moorish and religious regalia and everyday items. So peace and greetings, nobles and empresses, gods and goddesses, ladies and gentlemen, all peoples of the earth and universe. We'll be getting right into it this evening, but before we do, we'll start with our Moorish American prayer, and it goes a little something like this. Allah, Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is our protector, our guide, and our salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, Shalom Aleichem, Ayah Asha Ayah, Hotep, Islam, Amen. Peace, 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 peace.
Peace.
So without further ado, we'll be bringing it right to you with the title being The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason. And this is an excellent read, and we would like for you to have this, and that's why we created the company, mypdfbooks.com, for all of your literary needs. And for any inquiries, just hit us up at mypdfbooks.com, and that's books with a Z. Also, don't forget about bbtsciencetemple.com for all student inquiries. So let us begin. The man who desired gold. Bansnir, the chariot builder of Babylon, was thoroughly discouraged. From his seat upon the low wall surrounding his property, he gazed sadly at his simple home and the open workshop in which stood a partially completed chariot. His wife frequently appeared at the open door. Her furtive glance in his direction reminded him that the meal bag was almost empty, and he should be at work finishing the chariot, hammering and hewing, polishing and painting, stretching taut the leather over the wheels, rims, preparing it for delivery so he could collect from his wealthy customer. Nevertheless, his fat, muscular body sat steadily upon the wall. His slow mind was struggling patiently with a problem from which he could find no answer. The hot tropical sun, so typical of this valley of the Euphrates, beat down upon him mercilessly. Beads of perspiration formed upon his brow and trickled down, unnoticed, to loosen themselves in a tie-hairy jungle on his chest. Beyond his home told the high terrace, the wall surrounding the king's palace. Nearby, cleaving the blue heavens, was the painted tower of the temple of Baal. In the shadows of such grandeur was his simple home and many others far less neat and well cared for. Babylon was like this, a mixture of grandeur and squalor, a dazzling wealth and direst poverty, crowded together without plan or system within the protecting walls of the city. Behind him, he had cared to turn and look. The noisy chariot of the rich jostled and crowded aside, and sandaled tradesmen as well as the barefooted beggars. Even the rich were forced to turn into the gutters to clear the way for the long lines of slave orders carried on the king's business, 15 each bearing a heavy goatskin of water to be poured upon the hanging gardens. Bansir was too engrossed in his own problem to hear or heed the confused hubbub of the busy city. It was the unexpected twanging of the strings from a familiar lyre that aroused him from his reverie. He turned and looked into the sensitive, smiling face of his best friend, Kabi the musician. May the gods bless thee with great liberty. My good friend, began Kabi with an elaborate salute. Yet it does not appear that they have already been so generous, thou needest not to labor. I rejoice with thee in thy good fortune. More, I would even share it with thee. Pray, from thy purse, which must be bulging, else thou wouldest be busy in your shop. Extract but 2 humble shekels and lend them to me until after the nobleman's feast this night. Thou wilt not miss them ere they are returned. If I did have 2 shekels, said Bansir, responded gloomily, to no one I could lend them, not even to you, my best of friends, for they would be my fortune, my entire fortune. No one lends his entire fortune, not even to his best friend. What? Exclaimed Kabi with genuine surprise. Thou hast not 1 shekel in thy purse, yet sit like a statue upon the wall. Why not complete the chariot? How else can thou provide us for thy noble appetite? 'Tis not like thee, my friend. Where is thy endless energy? Doeth something distress thee? Have the gods brought thee into troubles? A torment from the gods it must be, Bansir agreed. It began with a dream, a senseless dream, in which I thought I was a man of means. From my belt hung a handsome purse, heavy with coins. There were shekels, which I cast with careless freedom to the beggars. There were pieces of silver, with which I did buy finery for my wife. Whatever I did desire for myself, there were pieces of gold which made me feel assured of the future and unafraid to spend the silver. A glorious feeling of contentment was within me. You would not have known me for thy hardworking friend, nor wouldst have known my wife. So free from wrinkles was her face and shining with happiness. She was again the smiling maiden of our early married days. A pleasant dream indeed, commented Cobby. But why should such pleasant feelings as it aroused thee turn thee into a glum statue upon the wall? Why indeed? Because when I awoke and remembered how empty my purse was, a feeling of rebellion swept over me. Let us talk it over together. For, as the sailors do say, we ride in the same boat. We too. As youngsters, we went together to the priest to learn wisdom. As young men, we shared each other's pleasures. As grown men, we have always been close friends. We have been contented subjects of our kind. We have been satisfied to work long hours and spend our earnings freely. We have earned much coin in the years that have passed, yet to know joys that come from wealth. We must dream about them. Bah! Are we more dumb than sheep? We live in the richest city in the world. The travelers do say none equal its in wealth. About us is much display of wealth, but of it we ourselves have not. After half a lifetime of hard labor, thou, my best of friend, has an empty purse and says to me, may I borrow such a trifle of 2 shekels until the nobleman's feast tonight? Then what do I reply? Do I say, here is my purse. Its contents will I gladly share? No, I admit that my purse is empty, as thine. What is the matter? Why cannot we acquire silver and gold? More than enough for food and robes. Consider also our sons, Bansneer continued. Are they not 17 following in the footsteps of their fathers? Need they and their families and their sons' families live all their lives in the midst of such treasures of gold, and yet, like us, be content to banquet upon sour goat's milk and porridge? Never in all the years of our friendship didst thou talk like this before, Bansneer. Cobby was puzzled. Never in all those years did I think like this before. From nearly dawn until darkness stopped me, I have labored to build the finest chariots any man could make, soft-heartedly hoping someday the gods would recognize my worthy deeds and bestow upon me great prosperity. This they have never done. At last, I realize this they will never do. Therefore, my heart is sad. I wish to be a man of means. I wish to own lands and cattle, to have fine robes and coins in my purse. I am willing to work for these things with all the strength in my back, with all the skill in my hands, with all the cunning in my mind. But I wish my labors to be fairly rewarded. What is the matter with us? Again, I ask you, why cannot we just have our just share of good things so plentiful for those who have the gold with which to buy them? Would I knew an answer, Cobby replied. No better than thou am I satisfied. My earnings from my leer are quickly gone. Often must I plan and scheme that my family be not hungry. Also within my breast is a deep longing for lyre large enough that it may truly sing the strains of music that do surge through my mind. With such an instrument could I make music finer than even the king has heard before. Such a lyre thou shouldst have. No man in Babylon could make it sing more sweetly. could make it sing so sweetly, not only the king, but the gods themselves would be delighted. But how mayest thou secure it, while we both of us are poor as king's slaves? Listen to the bell. Here they come. He pointed to the long column of half-naked, sweating water-bearing, plodding laboriously up the narrow street from the river. 5 abreast they marched, each bent over a heavy goatskin of water. A fine figure of a man, who had doeth lead them, Kabi indicated the wearer of the bell, who marched in front without a load. A prominent man in his own country, 'tis easy to see. There are many good figures in the line, Bansneer agreed, as good men as we, tall, blond men from the north, laughing black men from the south, little brown men from the nearer countries, all marching together from the river to the gardens, back and forth, day after day, year after year. Not of happiness to look forward to, beds of straws upon which they sleep, hard grain porridge to eat. Pity the poor brutes, Kabi. Pity them I do, yet thou doest make me see how little better off we are, free men though we call ourselves. That is truth, Kabi. Unpleasant thought though it be, we do not wish to go on year after year, living slavish lives, working, getting nowhere. Might we not find out how others acquire gold and do as they do? Kabi inquired. Perhaps there is some secret we might learn, if but sought from those who knew, replied Bansneer thoughtfully. This very day, suggested Kabi, I did pass our old friend, Arkad, riding in his golden chariot. This I will say, he did not look over my humble head as many in his station might consider his right. Instead, he did wave his hand, that all onlookers might see him pay greetings and bestow his smile of friendship upon Kabi the musician. He is claimed to be the richest man in all of Babylon, Bansneer mused. So rich, the king is said to seek his golden aid in affairs of treasury, Kabi replied. So rich, Bansneer interrupted, I fear, if I should meet him in the darkness of the night, I should lay my hand upon his fat wallet. Nonsense, reproved Kabi. A man's wealth is not in the purse he carries. A fat purse quickly comes empty if there be no golden stream to refill it. Arkad has income that constantly keeps his purse full, no matter how liberally he spends. Income, that is the thing, ejaculated Bansneer. I wish an income that will keep flowing into my purse, whether I sit upon the wall or travel far to lands. Arkad must know how a man can make an income for himself. Thus suppose it is something that he could clear to a mind as slow as mine. Methinks he did teach his knowledge to his son, Namstir, Kabi responded. Did he not go to Nineveh? And so, it is told at the end, become, without aid for his father, one of the richest men in the city. Kabi, thou bringest to me a rare thought. A new light gleamed in Bansneer's eyes. It cost nothing to ask wise advice from a good friend, and Arkad was always that. Never mind, though our purses be as empty as the falcon's nest a year ago. Let that not disdain us. We are weary of being without gold in the midst of plenty. We wish to become men of means. Come, let us go to Arkad and ask how we also may acquire income for ourselves. Thou speakest with true inspiration, Bansneer, though bringeth to my mind a new understanding. Thou makest me realize the reason why we have never found any measure of wealth. We never sought it. Thou hast labored patiently to build the staunchest chariots in Babylon. To that purpose we sought it. To that purpose devoted your best endeavors. Therefore, at it Thou didst succeed. I strove to become a skillful lyre player, and at it I did succeed. In those things toward which we exerted our best endeavors, we did succeed. We succeeded. The gods were content to let us continue thus. Now, at last, we see a light, bright light from the rising sun. It biddeth us to learn more, that we may prosper more. With a new understanding, we shall find honorable ways to accomplish our desires. Let us go to Archive this very day, Bansir urged. Also, let us ask other friends of our boyhood days who have fared no better than ourselves to join us, that they, too, may share in his wisdom. Thou wert ever thus thoughtful of thy friends, Bansir. Therefore hast thou many friends. It shall be as thou sayest. We go this day and take them with us. The richest man in Babylon. In old Babylon, there once lived a very rich man named Archive. Far and wide, he was famed for his great wealth. Also was he famed for his liberality. He was generous in his charities. He was generous with his family. He was liberal in his own expenses. But nevertheless, each year his wealth increased more rapidly than it spent it. And there were certain friends of younger days who came to him and said, You, Archive, are more fortunate than we. You have become the richest man in all of Babylon, while we struggle for existence. You can wear the finest garments, and you can enjoy the rarest foods, while we must be content if we can clothe our families in raiment that is presentable and feed them as best we can. Yet, once we were equal. We studied under the same master. We played in the same games. And in neither the studies nor the games did you outshine us. And in the years since you have been no more an honorable citizen than we. Nor have you worked harder or more faithfully in so far as we can judge. Yet, then you should fickle fate single out you to enjoy all the good things of life and ignore us, who are equally deserving. Thereupon Archive remonstrated with them, saying, If you have not acquired more than a bare existence in the years since we were youths, it is because you either have failed to learn the laws that govern the buildings of wealth, or else you do not observe them. Fickle fate is a vicious goddess who brings no permanent good to anyone. On the contrary, she brings ruin to almost every man upon whom she showers unearned gold. She makes wanton spenders who soon dissipate all they receive and are left beset by overwhelming appetites and desires they have no ability to gratify. Yet others whom she favors become miserers and hoard their wealth, fearing to spend what they have, knowing that they do not possess the ability to replace it. They further are beset by fears of robbers and doom themselves to lives of emptiness and secret misery. Others, there probably are, who can take the unearned gold and add to it and continue to be happy and contented citizens. But so few are they. I know of them but by hearsay. Think you of the men who have inherited sudden wealth, and see if these things are not so. His friends admitted that of the men they know who inherited wealth, these words were true, and they besought him to explain to them how he had become possessed of so much prosperity. So he continued, In my youth, I looked about me and I saw all the good things that were there. were to bring happiness and contentment. And I realized that wealth increased the potency of all of these. Wealth is a power. With wealth, many things are possible. One may ornament the home with the richest furnishings. One may sail to distant seas. One may feast on the delicacies of far lands. One may buy the ornaments of the gold worker and the stone polisher. One may even build mighty temples for gods. One may all do these things and many others, which there is delight for the senses and gratification for the soul. And when I realized all of this, I decided to myself that I would claim my share of the good things of life. I would not be the one of those who stood afar off, enviously watching others enjoy. I would not be content to clothe myself in the cheapest remedy that looked respectable. I would not be satisfied with the lot of a poor man. On the contrary, I would make myself a guest at the banquet of good things. Being, as you know, the son of a humble merchant, one of a large family with no hope of an inheritance, and not being endowed, as you have so frankly said, with superior powers or wisdom, I decided that if I was to achieve what I desired, time and study would be required. As for time, all men have it in abundance. You, each of you, have let slip by sufficient time to have made yourselves wealthy. Islam. Yet you have nothing to show except for your good families, of which you can justly be proud of. As for study, did not our wise teacher teach us that learning was two kinds? The one kind being the things we learned and knew, and the other being the training that taught us how to find out what we did not know. Therefore, I did decide to find out how one might accumulate wealth. And when I had found out, to make this my task and do it well. And when I had found out, I made this my task and did it well. For is it not wise that we should enjoy while we dwell in the brightness of the sunshine? For sorrows enough shall descend upon us when we depart from the darkness of the world of spirit. I found employment as a scribe in the halls of records. In long hours each day I labored upon the clay tablets. Week after week and month after month I labored, yet for my earnings I had not to show. Food and clothing and penance to the gods and other things of which I could not remember would absorb all my earnings. But my determination did not leave me. And one day, Algamish, the moneylender, came to my house of the city, came to the house of the city master and ordered a copy of the 9th law. And he said to me, I must have this in 2 days. And if the task is done by that time, 2 coppers will I give to thee. So I labored hard, but the law was long. And when Algamish returned, the task was unfinished. He was so angry, and I had been his slave. He would have beaten me. But knowing the city master would not permit him to injure me, I was unafraid. So I said to him, Algamish, you are a very rich man. Tell me how I may become rich. And all night I will carve upon the clay, and when the sun rises, it shall be completed. He smiled at me and replied, you are forward knave, but we will call it a bargain. All that night I carved, though my back pain and the smell of wick made my head ache until my eyes could hardly see. But when he returned at sunup, the tablets were completed. Now, I said, tell me what you promised. You have fulfilled your part of the bargain, my son, he said. to me kindly, and I am ready to fulfill mine. I will tell you these things you wish to know, because I am becoming an old man, and old tongues love to wag. And when youth comes to age for advice, he receives wisdom of the years. But too often does you think that age knows only the wisdom of days that are gone, and therefore profits not. But remember this: the sun that shines today is the sun that shone when thy father was born, and will
Islam.
still be shining. Come on, and will still be shining when thy last grandchild shall pass into the darkness.
Mm.
The thoughts of youth have continued, he continued, are bright lights that shine forth like meteors that often make brilliant in the sky. But the wisdom of age is like the fixed stars that shine so unchanged that the sailor may depend upon them to steer his course. Come on. Mark you well my words, for if you do not, you will fail to grasp the truth that I will tell you, and all you will think that your night's work has been in vain. Then he looked at me shrewdly from his shaggy brows and said in a low, forceful tone. Then he continued to look at me with a glance that I could feel pierced me, but I said no more. Is that all? I asked. That was sufficient to change the heart of a sheep herder into the heart of a moneylender, he replied. but all I but all I earn is my keep, is it not? I demanded. Far from it, he replied. Do you not pay the garment maker? Good question. Do you not pay the sandal maker? Good question. Do you not pay for things you eat? Good question. Can you live in Babylon without spending? Another good question. What have you to show for your earnings of your past month, of your past month, for the past year? Fool, you pay to everyone but yourself. Dullard, your labors, you labor for others. As well, be a slave and work for your master, give you to eat and wear. If you did keep for your youthful 1/10 of all you earn, how much would you have in 10 years? Good question. My knowledge of the numbers did not forsake me, and I answered, as much as I earn in 1 year. You speak but half the truth, he retorted. Every gold piece you save is a slave to work for you. Every copper it earns is its child that has also earned for you. If you would become wealthy, then what you save must earn, and its children must earn, that all may help to give to you the abundance you crave. You think I cheat you for your long hours of night's work, he continued, but I am paying you 1,000 times over if you have the intelligence to grasp the truth I offer you. A part of all you earn is yours to keep. It should be not less than 1/10, no matter how little you earn. It can be as much more as you can afford. Pay yourself first. Do not buy from others the clothes. Do not buy from the clothes maker and the sandal maker more than you can pay out the rest and still have enough for food and charity and penitence to the gods.
What he say? Food and charity.
Uh-huh.
I tell you, that's number one.
Islam. That's true. Wealth, like a tree, grows from a tiny seed. The first copper you save is the seed from which your tree of wealth shall grow. The sooner you plant that seed, the sooner the tree shall grow. And the more faithfully you nourish and water that tree with constant savings, the sooner may you bask in the contentment beneath its shade. Ooh, that was a nice little parable.
Yes, sir.
So saying, he took his tablet and went away. I thought much in what he had said to me, and it seemed reasonable. So I decided that I would try it. Each time I was paid, I took one from each 10 pieces of copper and hid it away. And strange as it may seem, I was no shorter of funds than before.
Mm.
I noticed little difference as I managed to get along without it.
Mm.
But often was I tempted, as my hoard began to grow, to spend it for some of the
Absolutely.
good things. For some of the good things
Absolutely.
the merchant displayed Islam, brought by camels and ships from lands of the Phoenicians. But I wisely refrained. The 12th month of Alchemish had gone. He again returned to me and said, Son, have you paid yourself not less than 1/10 of all you have earned this past year? I answered proudly, Yes, master, I have. That is good. He answered, beaming upon me. And what have you done with it? I have given it to Asmer, the brickmaker. He told me he was traveling over the far seas, and in Tyre he would buy for me some rare jewels of the Phoenicians. When he returns, we shall sell these at high prices and divide the earnings. Every fool must learn, he growled. But but why trust the knowledge of a brickmaker about jewels? Good question.
Mm.
Would you go to the bread maker and inquire about the stars? No. Buy my tunic. No, buy my tunic, you would go to the astrologer if you had the power to think. Your savings are gone. Youth, you have jerked your wealth tree. You have jerked your wealth tree up by its roots. But plant another. Try again. And next time, if you would have advice about jewels, go to the jewel merchant. If you would know the truth about sheep, go to the herdsman. Advice is one thing that is freely given away, but watch that you take only what is worth having. He who takes advice about his savings from one who is inexperienced in such matters shall pay with his savings for proving the falsity of their opinions. Saying this, he went away. And it was said, and it was as he said, for the Phoenicians are scoundrels, and sold to Azamar worthless bits of glass that looked like gems. But as Algamish had bid me, I again saved each 10th copper, for I now had formed a habit, and it was no longer difficult. Again, 12 months later, Algamish came to the room of the scribes and addressed me. What progress have you made since I last saw you? I have paid myself faithfully, I replied, and my savings I have entrusted to the Agger, the shield maker, to buy bronze. And each 4th month he does pay me the rental. That is good. And what do you do with this rental? I do have a great feast with honey and fine wine and spiced cake. Also, I have bought me a scarlet tunic, and someday I shall buy me a young ass upon to ride. To which Algamish laughed, Do you eat the children of your savings? Then how do you expect them to work for you? How can you have children that will also work for you? First get thee an army of golden slaves, and then many a rich banquet may you enjoy without regret. So saying, he again went away. Nor did I again see him for 2 years. When he once more returned, and his face was full of deep lines, and his eyes drooped. For he becoming a very old man, he said to me, Archod, hast thou yet achieved the wealth thou dreamed of? And I answered, Not yet all that I desire, but some I have, and it earns more, and it's earning and earning more.
Mm-hmm.
And do you still take advice from the brickmakers? About brickmaking, they give good advice, I retorted. Archod, he continued, you have learned your lesson very well. Your first lesson to live upon less than you could earn. Come on, repeat that again. Your first lesson you have to learn is to live upon less than you could earn.
Islam.
Next, you learn to seek advice from those who are competent through their own experiences to give it. And lastly, you have learned to make gold work for you. You have taught yourself how to acquire money, how to keep it, and how to use it. Therefore, you are competent for a reasonable position. I am becoming an old man. My sons think only of spending and giving no thought to earning. My interests are great and I fear too much for me to look after. I will go to Nipper and look after my lands. I shall make you my partner, and you shall share my estate. So I went to Nipper and took charge of his holdings, which were large. And because I was full of ambition, and because I had mastered the 3 laws of successfully handling wealth, I was able to increase greatly the value of his properties. So I prospered much, and when the spirit of Algamesh departed from the spear of darkness, I did share in his estate, as he had arranged under the law. So spake Archi, and when he had finished his tale, one of his friends said, "You were indeed fortunate that Algamesh made you an heir. Fortunate only in that he had the desire to prosper before I met him. For 4 years did I not prove my definiteness of purpose by keeping 1/10 of all I earned?" Good question. Would you call a fisherman lucky, who for years so studied the habits of the fish that with each changing wind he could cast his nets about them? Opportunity is a haughty goddess who wastes no time with those who are unprepared. You had strong willpower to keep on after you lost your first savings in that year. You are unusual in that way, spoke up another. Willpower, retorted Arcad. What nonsense. Do you think willpower gives a man the strength to lift a burden the camel cannot carry, or to draw a load the oxen cannot budge? Willpower is but unflinching purpose to carry a task you set for yourself to fulfillment. If I set for myself a task, but it ever so trifling, I shall see it through. How else shall I have confidence in myself to do important things? Should I say to myself for 100 days as I walk across the bridge into the city, I will pick from the road a pebble and cast him into the stream? That's where you got this from. I will do it.
Yeah.
On the 7th day I passed by without remembering, I would not say to myself, tomorrow I will cast 2 pebbles, which will do as well. Instead, I would retrace my steps and cast the pebble. Nor on the 20th day would I say to myself, Arcad, this is useless. What does it avail you to cast a pebble every day? Throw a handful and be done with it. No, I would not say that nor do it. When I set a task for myself, I complete it. Therefore, I am careful not to start a difficult and practical task because I love leisure. And then another friend spoke and said, if what you tell is true, and it does seem, as you have said, reasonable, then being so simple, if all men did it, there would not be enough wealth to go around. Wealth grows wherever men exert energy, Arcad replied. If a rich man builds him a new palace and the gold he pays out is gone, is the gold he pays out gone? No, the brickmaker has a part of it, and the laborer has a part of it, and the artist has a part of it, and everyone who labors upon the house has part of. Yet when the palace is completed, it is not worth all of its cost.
Nope.
And is the crown upon which it stands not worth more because it is there? And is the ground that adjoins, is it not worth more because it is there? Wealth grows in magic ways. No man can prophesy the limits of it. Have not the Phoenicians built great cities on barren coasts with the wealth that comes from their ships of commerce on the sea? What then do you advise us to do, that we also may become rich? Asked still another of his friends. The years have passed, and we are no longer young men, and we have nothing put by. I advise that you take the wisdom of Alchemish and say to yourselves, a part of all I earn is mine to keep. Say it in the morning when you first arise, say it at noon, and say it at night. Say it each hour of every day. Say it to yourself until the words stand out like letters of fire across the sky. Impress yourself with this idea. Fill yourself with the thought. Then take whatever portion seems wise. Let it be not less than 1/10 and lay it by. Arrange your other expenditures to do this if necessary, but lay that portion first. Soon you will realize what a rich feeling it is to own a treasure upon which you alone have claim. As it grows, it will stimulate you. A new joy of life will thrill you. Greater efforts will come to you to earn more. For your increased earnings, will not the same percentage be also yours to keep? Then learn to make your treasures work for you. Make it your slave. Make it as children, and its children's children work for you. Ensure an income for thy future. Look thou at the age, and forget not that in the days to come thou also will be numbered among them. Therefore, invest thy treasures with great caution, that it be not lost. Usurious rates of return are deceitful, sirens that seem but to lure the unweary upon the rocks of loss and remorse. Provide also that thy family may not want should the gods call thee to the realms. For such protection, it is always possible to make provisions with small payments at regular intervals. Therefore, the provident man delays not in expectation of a large sum becoming available for such a wise purpose. Also, counsel with wise men. Seek the advice of men whose daily work is handling money. Let them save you from such an error as myself made in entrusting my money with the judgment of Asmar, the brickmaker. Small return and a safe one is far more desirable than risk.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Enjoy life while you are here. Do not overstrain or try to save too much. If 1/10 of all you earn is as much as you can comfortably keep, be content to keep this portion. Live otherwise according to your income, and let not yourself get niggardly and afraid to spend. Life is good, and life is rich with things worthwhile and things to enjoy. His friends thanked him and went away. Some were silent because they had no imagination and could not understand. Some were sarcastic because they thought that one so rich should divide his old friends not so fortunate. But some had in their eyes a new light. They realized that Alchemish had come back each time to the room of the scribes because he was watching a man work his way out of the darkness into the light.
Yes.
When that man had found the light, a place awaited him. No one could fill that place until he had for himself worked out his own understanding, until he was ready for the opportunity. These latter were the ones who, in the following years, frequently revisited Archon, who received them gladly. He counseled with them and gave them freely of his wisdom, as men of broad experiences are always glad to do. And he assisted them in so investing their savings that it would bring in bring in a good interest with safety, and would neither be lost nor entangled in investments that paid no dividends. The turning point in these men's lives came upon the day when they realized the truth that had come from Alchemist to Arcad, from Arcad to them. A part of all you earn is yours to keep.
Wow.
So as we close, we'll end on the chapter entitled, or the section entitled, 7 Curses for a Lean Purse. And it reads, the glory of Babylon endures. Down through the ages, its reputation comes to us as the richest of cities. Its treasures are fabulous. Yet it was not always so. The riches of Babylon were the results of the wisdom of its people. They first had to learn how to become wealthy. When the good king Sargon returned to Babylon after defeating his enemies, the Elamites, he was confronted with a serious situation. The royal chancellor explained to the king thus, after many years of great prosperity brought to our people, because your majesty built the great irrigation canals and the mighty temples of God, now that these works are completed, the people seem unable to support themselves. The laborers are without employment. The merchants have few customers. The farmers are unable to sell their produce. The people have not enough gold to buy food. But where has all the gold gone that we spent for these great improvements? Demanded the king. It has found its way, I fear, responded the chancellor, into the possession of a few very rich men in our city. It filtered through the fingers of most of our people as quickly as the goat's milk goes through the strainer. Now that the stream of gold has ceased to flow, most of our people have nothing for their earnings.
Yep.
The king was thoughtful for some time. Then he asked, why should so few men be able to acquire all the gold? Because they know how, replied the chancellor. One may not condemn a man for succeeding because he knows how. Neither may one with justice take away from a man what he has fairly earned to give to a man of less ability.
Mm-hmm.
But why? But why? Demanded the king. Should not all the people learn how to accumulate gold and therefore become themselves rich and prosperous? Quite possible, Your Excellency. But who can teach them? Certainly not the priest, because they know not of money making. Who knows best in all our cities how to become wealthy, Chancellor? Asked the king. Thy question answered itself, Your Majesty. Who has amassed the greatest wealth in Babylon? Well said Abel, my chancellor, it is Arcad. He is the richest man in Babylon.
Yes.
Bring him before me on the morrow. Upon the following day, as the king declared, Arcad appeared before him, straight and sprightly, despite his 80 years and 10. Arcad, spoke the king, is it true that thou art the richest man in Babylon? So it is reported, Your Majesty, and no man disputes it. How becomest thou so wealthy? By taking advantage of opportunities available to all citizens in our good city. Thou hadst nothing to start with? Only a great desire for wealth, said Arcad. Besides this, nothing. Arcad, continued the king, our city is in a very unhappy state because a few men know how to acquire wealth and therefore monopolize it, while the mass of our citizens lack the knowledge of how to keep any part of their gold they receive.
Mm. Mm.
Come on. It is my desire that Babylon be the wealthiest city in the world. Therefore, it must be a city of many wealthy men.
Wow.
That kind of sound like not to break the story, but that kind of sound like the Greenwood district in Tulsa, Oklahoma, also known as the Black Wall Street.
And Brian, like you said, as we close, it's I always talk about living under our means, and if you spending 50% of your income on just living, you're wasting. 50% of your income should never go to living. It should never go. And when you hear talking about taking a 10th and just putting a 10th up and putting some up to charity, you're gonna always have something, because it's not about how much you make, it's about how much you save.
Yeah,
and really living under our means, which I talk about all the time in our classes. I talk about, look at your money, have those financial conversations, because in our society, we think we can pray our finances right, Brian, but that's not valid. You just were teaching about, why would I go to the priest for money questions? Why? I will go to the person that's doing business for those money questions. If that priest is not a money maker, you know what I mean? You have to go to sound counsel. And I continue to teach this. I learned this late. My dad is a good financial manager with his finances and what he did, and it trickled down to me. I learned it late, and what I do is try to throw it back to my brothers. When I always say, Brian, don't try to save too much without living. Always set a goal, set a mark at, look at your finances. This is what I got. Look at my bills. This is what I can save. This what I like. I'll give an analogy. If I got $100 profit, a lot of people, you know what they'll do, Brian, how they mess up? You know what they'll do?
What they'll do?
They'll spend 80 and put up 20 instead of paying yourself 20 and putting up the 80. Yes. And continue to do that over and over and over, because see, you pay yourself the 10, and then that other 10, maybe not all, but a part of that go to your charity. And remember what he says, being consistent. And until we get consistent, nothing gonna work, because we're not consistent. You have to be, to save, Noble Brian, you have to be consistent with everything. Once you have to know what you're giving, your giving have to be consistent. Everything have to be consistent. Your life shouldn't change month to month unless something happen, like, oh man, I got tire blowout, or I got a ticket or something. But your life should be consistent to where each month, I call it the recurring bills, to where you saving a little by little. And at the end of the year, Brian can say guaranteed, if Brian got a goal, I just give an analogy. If Brian got a goal at the end of the year, he say, man, I'm trying to save 20,000. And at the end of the year, Brian hit 15,000. Brian done what he wanted to do. Because Brian know out of his income, he say, man, I'm trying to save 2,000 a month. If I fall short, if I save 1,500 a month, you save more than 10% of your income. Think about it.
It's long. That's facts.
But yes, and that's what I do. I always be transparent. I say, man, at the end of the year, every year, I'm trying to save 20,000. If I don't get there, at least, if I say I'm saving 2,000 a month out of my earned income check, that's just my check at work. If I can't do it and things come up, if I save 1,500, that's it. Now you got to look at that each month, Brian. Right?
It's long. You're right.
That's eight. What's that? That's about what? 18,000, right? Close.
Yeah, close to it.
So you can always hit your mark. Yeah, you can hit your mark, man. And so that's what I tell all of us, man. Everything we do, a lot of times to be osmosisly, we spend it too much for everyday living. We spend it too much on trinkets. We're not consistent with what we do. And I just like to end it with this, a little summary of the richest man in Babylon, Brian, because I did a whole summary on this. I lectured this to a whole bunch of college kids, and we got on this saving plan, because the richest man of Babylon, man, it's a personal finance book. And what it do, Noble Brian, is it teaches value lessons in wealth building through simple yet powerful methods. and it offers timeless advice on money management and financial success. Like, it's about a couple keys. I can give you some keys for some notes and we can get out of here. But the secret to becoming wealthy lies somewhere between saving money and investing money. And that's the thing that we have to know. Like right now, we have so much to invest. I'll give you a prime analogy, Brian, and let's play a little dialogue. Right now, everybody has something gold. You know what the gold is?
The ideas.
That too, but all the books y'all have, something that
sure.
I have, something that I acquired and was able to say, okay, something that I learned how to do, how to download all these books, how to show you all these books. Those books are money, right?
Absolutely.
So if those books are money, and I go to work 5 days a week or 7 days a week, I know how much I'm going to make. I know X amount of hours I spend on a job each week. Why am I not taking some of that same amount of time and marketing and promoting the same effort and to sell something consistently? Because a lot of brothers are just sitting on it. It's hoarding it. It's like what the rich man of Babylon said. You can put money under your mattress, but it's not going to draw any interest.
Yeah, that's facts.
It's not going to draw any interest. So where's the effort? Well, I went to work and I'm tired and it's okay, but your money is not going to accumulate nothing. It's not going to accumulate nothing without any effort that we don't put any effort in. So it's two extremes. To become wealthy, you must not just hoard your money, but you also must know how to use your money wisely. Those are the keys. You also need to know how to take counsel. You also need to know how to put money in certain things to where it'll bring value. And what we don't pay for is to learn. We think we're supposed to just learn for free. And when people have mentors and people pay for their mentors and they get these good keys and they say, man, that stuff that I learned, that little charity that I'm investing with, look what I learned. Look how I'm valuing my time. Look at the time that I'm using my money. Look at what I'm doing now. I'm putting some money up, but I'm using my money to make money. Like today, the tech world, the internet. How much are we posting our ideas on the internet? How many cold calls are we calling each day? What do you mean, Sheik? How many people are you calling trying to sell something to? How many people are you calling that's in the books like you, instead of just posting, say, hey man, I got this book. Hey man, you buy 3, you buy 1, I'll give you 2. You buy 2, I'll give you 3. You buy 3, I'll give you 6. You have the ability to do this. This is what I do on a daily basis, Brian, as I work. That's why I'm able to acquire. I do this every day and I live under my means. I do it every single day. I cold call. I got a list of 50 people that I call every single day, Brian. They say, hey man, I got this. The same way I do y'all with the books, the same way I do with my other clients. That's how I'm able to acquire more. That's how when I get these books, I'm able to sell them to the same price or even more to people that's outside of the tribe. And I make pennies every day and put them up. If I make $100 a day, I pay myself 20. I put the 80 up. I sell at least one book every day, Brian. Real talk. I sell at least one book every day, every single day. And so that's what I'm trying to tell my brothers and sisters, man. And I'll leave you with this. It's 9 keys in the richest man in Babylon. And number 1 is the secret to building wealth. It's to save and invest wisely. Invest wisely. Save and invest wisely. Save and invest wisely. You shouldn't give, like you said, a lumberjack money because he says he's going to set up a business selling diamonds. He don't know nothing about diamonds, Brian. You know? He a lumberjack. So if y'all ain't invested in wood or he making something, you wasting your time. The secret to being financially successful is to always admit how little you know. And a lot of us, we think, oh, I got this job where I'm older than this. But you got to admit that little you know about saving. Why? Because if you working every day and you spending more on living and then you're not having these conversations with your loved ones, you don't know too much about it. And you can only accumulate wealth slowly by learning through a process of trial and error. That's why I don't be afraid to share this with y'all. I've learned from trial and error, Brian. I've learned from trial and error. That's how I'm able to save way more money than people that make 300% times more than me. I got friends that make 200,000, 180, 200,000. I make less than that. And at the end of the year, Brian, guess what?
What?
I got more than them at the end of every year. I'm telling you, they be like, how you do all this? Because I say, okay, well, how much you make? I said, I don't care. Oh man, I make 180,000. My homeboy make 225,000 a year. He got a whole bunch of bills, designer, everything. I say, great. At the end of the year, what you got, man? You know, I got a whole bunch of bills and credit card. I say, well, at the end of the year, I say 18,000. How you do that, bro? And before I started this job that I'm working, I was saving damn near 10,000 every year, me and my wife together. So when I say 100 grand, I say 100 grand ain't shit. Excuse my candor. I'm not gonna spend it, but I'm using my money to make money. That's how I'm able to share books with y'all. That's how I'm able to have my PDF books and Morris Haberdasher. How I'm able to buy items for a certain price and sell it and make a small percentage and put that percentage up, Brian, and buy the item again. Buy the item again. Put that small percentage up and buy the item again. Put that percentage up. Pay myself some change. Buy the item again. And I do it over and over and over and over and over and over. And I don't worry about what nobody doing. Number 4, don't just work for money to afford the things you want today. Make long-term investments where your money works for you. Like with these books, like with promoting our books, selling stuff. This stuff is going to work for you because books always sell. Man, Jeff Bezos, Amazon, he started just selling books. Look at it now. Look at it, what's going on now. Number 5, making investments that get paid back with interest can be highly lucrative. What you mean? If Brian got, say, 100 books for me, PDF books for $40, and each book's worth, say, $30 a piece, Brian had made a low interest investment, didn't he?
Yeah.
Brian owned all those books. Brian could sell each book for $5 and make a profit. But Brian don't have to buy nothing again. Brian can sell that over and over and over and over and over and over. This is what I'm trying to beat in our heads. Number 7, work hard to spot opportunities and seize them without procrastination. We procrastinate. I talk about contemplation. We must contemplate, but we shouldn't procrastinate. A lot of us procrastinate. Oh man, I'm gonna get to do it. But we don't procrastinate when we go into work. We'll work 40, 60, 70 hours and then come home and won't do nothing on our business. That's procrastination instead of contemplating, Brian. And number 8, make rational choices about your expenses and don't take on debt. What you mean? Make rational choices about your expenses and don't take on debt. What Brian have learned, which I love, what we did together. Brian ain't take on no car debt, which is a money pit. What Brian did, Brian let it use his money to buy a car, didn't you, Brian? Brian didn't take on no debt. Brian didn't take on no interest. Brian didn't take on no stupid high interest rate because they say, oh, you can get this car, and people don't know about that high interest rate to when you paying that car 4 or 5 times over. Brian made a deal, and he was like, man, this is what I can pay. Now Brian owned his car, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's what I'm saying. And then finally, the keys in this book is the secret to becoming wealthy is living below your means to save up money and investing part of it in a way that generates interest for you. And you must also understand that you can earn yourself luck by working hard and seizing opportunity bravely. And then you must invest part of what you earn wisely. That's what I always want to share with y'all, man. And with that, Noble, I give you gratitude, man, for taking time out your day, man, to share this wisdom with us and to breaking down in layman terms to show us how we can save with what we have. And a lot of times we ask God, Allah, Buddha, whatever you call it, for increase, but we should be asking God and Buddha to show us how to save what we have and make a way before we get an increase. Because when we get an increase, we might just spend more. And then you look up working all them hours, and at the end of the year, you haven't acquired any more bills, but you acquire more money and you have less. You got to figure that out. Why? That's what I said, Brian. I said, we will acquire more money. We'll make more money, but we won't acquire no more bills or nothing. And at the end of the year, we have no more money, but we make it more. Why?
Because we spend more.
Yes. And that's what I say, man. Please continue to live under your means. Please start splitting your money 3 ways for you can see it. And just like in the book of Babylon, when he said he started putting the 10th up and he started saving and putting that up and he started giving that charity, he didn't miss a beat. Didn't miss a beat, Brian. As I'm working now and I'm making more money and I'm saving, I'm not missing a beat because I pay myself and I live and like I said, I live smart. I live under my means. That's why the book of Babylon says, enjoy your life, but don't be wasteful. Enjoy your life, but don't be wasteful. And so I give gratitude to the teachings, Noble.
Islam, likewise, give gratitude to the wisdom, the fellowship, the brotherhood, you know what I'm saying, the wise counsel. Always.
Gratitude. Gratitude. And for me to be a counselor, man, I continue to get counsel. This is what I tell my brothers, man. I'm getting ready to be 48 in January. A lot of brothers, man, on here is like my little brothers. A lot of these brothers on here, like I try to tell Dante, is he old enough to be my son? I done lived through a lot. I done seen a lot. I have sound counsel. And just because I have an education don't mean I'm smarter than no one, Brian, but I've been through the fire. I know what's going to happen. I know how to prepare. I have a degree in finance and business management and marketing and sales. I know what to expect. I know how to take my money and split it 3 ways and still live. I know how to be consistent with all my giving. Why? Because what the book of Babylon said, trial and error, Brian. I did the trial and error. So why won't nobody come to me and ask counsel when I be giving all these money-making tools, when I talk about the tax codes and about saving, about being tax exempt? Nobody come to me, Brian. Nobody, but everybody say, I'm gonna get with you, Sheik. I'm gonna get with you, but nobody comes. What I do know, quiet means you don't know. A lot of people in the church say amen, but amen is supposed to be an agreement and an understand. And then a lot of times people quiet because they don't know. But I look at the people's eyes and I look at the time that goes. If we can't be consistent on what we're doing, we still don't get it, Brian. And so I give honor and gratitude. Take advantage of what y'all have, man. When I always give the analogy, I'm going to be gone in a minute. And when I say gone, I don't mean gone from y'all. It's a lot of stuff I'm not going to have time for. A lot of stuff I'm going to be wanting to pay for that I'm doing charity. And I'm giving it to y'all. And I'm giving you the charity. All I ask for is small donations. I don't ask for nobody to pay me. I ask for small donations because these are keys. I got a big debt to know what I know, Brian. I got 100,000 of debt to know what I know, to be able to teach this to not only y'all, but to everybody that want to learn it. So once again, gratitude, man.
Yes, sir. Gratitude. Islam. Without further ado, you know what I'm saying, to put the icing on the cake, we'll just leave off with our Moorish American prayer.
Gratitude.
And it goes something like this. Allah, Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is our protector, our God and our salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, Shalom Alakim, Ayah Ash'ayah, Hotep, Islam, Amen. Peace, 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 peace.
Peace, 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 peace. Brian, I see Brother Trayvon jumped on there. As you continue to counsel that brother, like I said, man, come to class, man, and learn. And we got to get our minds right. We got to get focused on things. We can't be doing things thinking somebody owe us something in life. You know, I try to tell everybody, since people done got into this Moorish science, they done got really, really gung-ho thinking you can sue somebody or somebody owe us something. That's not life. The richest man in Babylon didn't become rich by trying to sue nobody or trying to say someone owe him something or this is my land. This is God's land. The richest man in Babylon, he put that work in and he got with the right brothers. So that's the first thing we got to do is get our mind right, man. That's the first thing we got to do is get our mind right and acquire something and then have it. So with that being said, man, I give you honor, Brian, and peace and love.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Peace and love. Peace and love, tribe.
Once again, this evening, being brought to you by binditbooks.com, where treasures abound. Also by mypdfbooks.com, and that's books with a Z. My aunt son's teas, divinely prepared, the tea of teas. Musical stylings by BH Bay Music. And last but not least, MoorishHaberdasher.com for all of your religious regalia and all of your everyday items. And that will conclude our Holy Day book club reading. Islam, Peace, 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 peace.
mypdfbooks.com. That's books with a Z.